And welcome into the Monday edition. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Monday morning. We are presented by Green Ventures Landscaping for homes and businesses that want to stand out, not blend in. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com. Joe Rexrode, happy Monday morning to you. What's going on?
Not much, but, you're going to distract me if you're going to have Charmed up here on the TV. Good era of the classic television show Charmed.
Really good special effects, too. That's what I've noticed.
Yeah, no, it's writing, special effects. I mean, we got some actors who like that dude who was like a dude in a bunch of other stuff whose name no one knows, but that dude,
I think he was in every commercial from about 2002 to 2007. So it's good.
Kind of plays a creepy guy a lot. Yeah, so. But good Mother's Day, everybody. You guys do good stuff for your Mother's Days?
Good Mother's Day stuff out there. Ian, how we doing? What's
good
going
morning.
on? How'd it all go?
It was fine, thanks. It was pretty relaxing. So, yeah, Saturday we hung out. Nicole went to a concert.
Which one?
David Byrne.
Man,
at Ascend.
I found out late that he was playing, and I was like, damn. But I wanted to go to the Eagles. I went to neither. How was David Byrne? Did you like it?
She said it was awesome.
I went to neither.
She said it was like the best concert she's ever been to.
Yeah,
but,
so she's a big Talking Heads fan?
Oh, yeah. So her and her friend went to that. So I was on babysitting duty for Mother's Day kind of stuff. And, turned on the grill, made some steaks yesterday.
There we go.
And hung outside. We did outside stuff. Yeah, it was fun.
Joe, we've made it. We finally got to get to ourselves another major championship week in golf here. So I know you've been clamoring for another one. Masters a few weeks ago, we could put that behind us. And now the PGA Championship this week.
Great. Exciting stuff. Can't wait.
I'm very much looking forward to it.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes.
Well, check out maybe a couple holes on Sunday.
That's good. Good to know. We got a lot of things going on the program today. Cory Curtis from News 2 will be with us at 8 o'clock. For his weekly visit, we will get into all things Titans and Middle Tennessee sports with him. Looking forward to that. We got the rant coming up later in the program. We will get into what this Predators general manager search means for Andrew Burnett later in the program as well. All that coming up. And, of course, a lot of stuff on the Tennessee Titans to get to throughout the course of the show today, including some people who look at the roster and say, yikes, not very good. We'll get into that as well coming up. Joe, we begin with the Vandy boys and Tennessee over the weekend. Differing results here. Tennessee had number 4 Texas in town over the weekend in Knoxville, and they win the series. They win Friday 5-1. They win Saturday 14-9, although it got slightly hairy there in the top of the ninth inning. 14-6 lead. You get it to 14-9, but they win. Lose on Sunday in the finale, but take 2 of 3 from Texas. I think you'll sign up for that if you're Josh Elander and Tennessee. And on the flip side, Vanderbilt losing 2 of 3 on the road at Missouri. So they lose in 10 innings on Friday. And then, or I guess that would have been, that would have been Friday. I'm doing my math in my head. Friday, they lose in 10 innings. They win in 11 innings on Saturday and then lose 4-1 yesterday in the series finale there. So Tennessee winning 2 of 3 against Texas, Vanderbilt losing 2 of 3 against Missouri. What do you make of those two results and what that means for those two respective programs over the weekend?
Yeah, I mean, Tennessee's in good shape. I mean, to be in, I don't think they're going to host. They still, I don't think you can count them out completely from that. But they're, they close out with Oklahoma, I think.
That's correct.
So they're like, if things went poorly from here, you could still be back in the bubble. If they went really well from here, you could start talking about hosting maybe, but they're probably going to be a 2 or 3 seed. And it's just a big deal to win a series over Texas, the number 4 team in the country. So it's amazing that Vanderbilt swept them, and you kind of thought maybe that'll be that might be a kind of a turning point. But one team, the team that has played well since then is Tennessee, put themselves in a good position. I think if you're a Tennessee fan, you have to appreciate what Josh Elander has done to hang in there with this team. And then Vanderbilt is and they got screwed. I mean, Vanderbilt got screwed on the home run thing. I don't know why the tracking, why that data isn't good enough.
Yeah.
It was a home. I mean, by all accounts, it was a home run. They rolled a double. They ended up losing that game. lose the series. I mean, I don't know for sure, but at this point, with that result, I mean, they might have to get the automatic bid in Hoover. Not just, I know before that it was kind of like, you get some really good wins along the way, and that might be enough for you. But now at this point, I don't know that that's the case. I think it might have to be the auto bid. So the 19-year streak of NCAA tournament bids, largest in the sport, is in serious peril now.
It is. They will close out the regular season against South Carolina coming up next week. Hopefully, for all of our sakes, Shane Beamer is not in the city, and we can avoid that for as long as possible. See what happens on that front. Tennessee closing out, as you said, with Oklahoma on the road next weekend, and then the SEC tournament here in a couple weeks. So it's hard to believe that time of year, but the SEC tournament is right around the corner, and then it's into the journey to Omaha in college baseball. So we've gotten there pretty quickly this year. It would be great, Joe, if Tennessee and Vanderbilt were playing like this past weekend or next weekend. That'd be awesome. But,
yeah, exactly. I mean, I guess
I decided to play the first week in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, they played. Well, I think it was actually Sweet 16 weekend.
Oh,
right?
yeah, there you
go. It was like Tennessee's playing, Iowa State and then Michigan, and they've got this baseball series that no one's paying attention to. Yeah, and if they were playing, I guess Vanderbilt might be in the same spot, which is like you got to win that, and then you got to do more. But there'd be stakes. There's always stakes too when they face each other. So hopefully they never make that mistake again. Also on the baseball front, I saw Tony Vitello the other day. It might have been yesterday, but talking about the fans booing the team.
Yep.
So he had a pretty good, interesting quote about that. And he basically said, well, hey, they paid their money. There's a bunch of stuff on Netflix they could be watching, but they paid the money, so they deserve to do it.
It's not going so hot.
No,
not going so hot.
What are they looking at? They're 16-24. Yeah. And, you're in a division with the Padres playing the way they are, and obviously the freaking Dodgers.
Yeah.
So you were like,
you're behind the eight ball anyway.
I don't think anybody realistically expected that to be a playoff team this year, but yeah, 16-24 is tough.
On the Stanley Cup playoff side of things, Game 4 coming up tonight between Colorado and Minnesota. Minnesota gets on the board the other night. I think they won 5-1 was the final. So Johnny Hines says, you know what? You're not going to be sweeping me again if you're the Colorado Avalanche. It ain't happening. And we'll see if Minnesota can even that thing up tonight. Vegas and Anaheim are tied at 2. Montreal takes a 2-1 series lead yesterday. And the Carolina Hurricanes have already punched their ticket to the Eastern Conference Final and have not lost a game in the playoffs to this point. So 2 sweeps for Rod Brindamore and the Carolina Hurricanes. Pretty impressive stuff.
Yeah, and as much as, sometimes you sit around for a long time or whatever, people worry about that. To me, in this tournament, every bit of wear and tear that you save is just that means that much more, because everyone's going to lose someone important as they continue to advance in this thing. So that's a pretty great thing for them.
Yeah, and Philadelphia, good story, getting by Pittsburgh in the first round. They had no chance against Carolina.
Outclassed.
Yeah, just no chance against Carolina. So interested to see what those matchups end up being. Montreal looks pretty good right now. They had a bad first game against Buffalo, responded on Friday night, and then basically just pounded Buffalo yesterday. So they're a team that looks like they're good now and is going to be good for a very long time. So that is what I've noticed watching the Montreal Canadiens so far this offseason. And look, we got a good one between Minnesota and San Antonio on the NBA side of things. That one's evened up at 2. Ian's beloved New York Knicks have already dispatched Philadelphia in a sweep there. So they've punched their ticket to the Eastern Conference Final.
Yeah, they did.
It's a good time. I mean, Ian's living life back there. What if it's Pistons and Knicks coming up, which looks right now like it's going to be.
It will be. I think the Pistons actually did pretty well in the regular season, if I've read that correctly.
Oh, no. I mean, I think I watched every Pistons Knicks game this year. And, you can't always translate to the playoffs, but they kicked their butt pretty much every time they played them, I think. But
I think that's correct from what I heard.
For whatever reason, they seem to match up well with them. But, yeah, we'll see. And, the Cavs got the Pistons back, so that's a big game 4 tonight to try to even it up. I will say you got to give James Harden credit. He looked like Old Man River in the first 2 games, and he responded. I mean, he hit huge shots. He had an all-around really good game. they still had a great chance to lose, except for Cade Cunningham with 3 straight turnovers on 3 straight possessions in the final 2 minutes. It's just like, I don't know
You got to protect the ball a little bit better,
crazy, man. He's a great player, but my goodness. But hey, James Harden, he looked spry in Game 3. We'll see if he can keep it up.
Although I will say, in some ways, I'm starting to wonder if the NBA playoffs are just a total waste of time, because I don't know if anybody's going to beat Oklahoma City at all in a game. Like, are they going to lose a game?
I mean, not tonight. They're playing the Lakers. They'll win by 15. It's over. I still feel like San Antonio could mount a challenge to them.
I agree.
You got Wemby out here throwing elbows,
Didn't know that a flagrant 2 meant an ejection. Wemby, you're out, son. It's a flagrant 2. You got to get out of there.
Yeah, that whole thing was strange. But man, like his elbow. Can you imagine that thing?
No.
Connecting with your head the way it did right there. I mean, that pointy ass elbow.
I mean, what's his wingspan?
It's like 8'4" or something. I mean, I have no idea. It's
8 feet.
There you go.
It's insane. An 8-foot wingspan.
Like, I mean, the elbow is like, it's just like a machete, It's just, that looked uncomfortable. But I hope that's the hope because I'm sorry. I mean, Pistons next, I'll be all in on it if that's what it is.
Sure.
And it'll be fun. And it's a great thing for whichever of them makes the final. But
ain't neither one of them beating Oklahoma City.
No, they're not beating the Spurs either.
Yeah.
I mean, if it came down to that, it's the Western Conference final will decide the champion.
615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. We're off and running on Robby and Rexrode today. We will get into the Tennessee Titans coming up next, including a formula here that's taking a look at the Titans roster and where it stacks up against the rest of the National Football League. We'll get into that. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Robby and Rexrode live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. We're taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025. Joe, your colleague at The Athletic, Austin Mock, has come out with his NFL projection model, which basically just looks at all the rosters and then ranks them from best to worst. So that's what he's done here, and it factors in some other things like, each player and their impact on a game. Obviously Josh Allen is going to mean more than, some of these other quarterbacks around the league. So it factors all those things in. Yeah, the other Josh Allen.
Who's good too, but not as good as this Josh Allen.
So
he's also Josh Hines Allen now.
That's true. I would probably agree with this. Like, if you ask me who the best roster was right now in the National Football League, I would probably say the LA Rams. And that's what he's got as the LA Rams there at number one. You could make probably some arguments for other people, but that's where I would go. And that's what his projection says there. So I saw this come out and I was like, oh, okay. Where would the Titans rank on this? My guess was like 24. I was like, yeah, 24. Did a lot of stuff this offseason. They're not 24. They're 27. 27th in the league, according to Austin Mock's formula. Here's what he says. Cam Ward, the interior defensive line are the only spots that excite me. And any excitement over Ward is largely based on his status as a former number one pick entering his second year. He wasn't particularly good last season, but he was in a horrible situation, so a major upgrade remains possible. Titans need Carnell Tate to follow in the footsteps of other Ohio State receivers, which we've talked about. Outside of that, the rest of the roster ranks below average. This is the formula and the conclusion that Austin Mock has come to there. The only teams worse than the Titans, according to his projection here, the Raiders, which checks out, the Browns, the Cardinals, the Jets, and the Dolphins. And I believe, Joe, I would agree on all that those teams do have worse rosters than the Tennessee Titans. Your thoughts on the Titans coming in at number 27 on your boy Austin Mock's NFL projection here as it relates to the rosters?
Well, I like this exercise because it does, and again, I don't know how you would do it because when we talk about rosters, like we talk about the Rams, I agree with you, but like I also know like 12 dudes, so I mean, people who follow teams closely actually know who their fourth corner is and who their third guard is, and I have no clue, and of course the top of the roster stuff is what matters the most. It makes sense. Most of these things. It's interesting to me as I look. So basically, for people who don't know, so it's like there's an expected margin of victory thing. So the score is XMOV, okay, expected margin of victory against an average NFL roster, which is kind of like wins above bubble in college basketball. So the top score is the Rams at plus 6.3. That's their expected margin of victory over the average NFL roster. And then you go down from there all the way down to the Dolphins are minus 7.1, a solid touchdown worse per. And again, this is analysis of every single player on the roster. Like, how much does this player add? Some players it's like, how would you know? Much. But that's the thing. Like, if you haven't done anything, you're probably not going to do much to a team score. It's interesting to me that the Chiefs are fourth on this. That seems a little high to me.
I would agree with that.
But that's probably a Mahomes thing, right? Is that so?
I would assume.
Because like he said in the intro, Austin Mock says, positional value is part of the formula. So if your best player is a quarterback, then, that might give you that might make your, give your score a little bit of a bump that maybe the overall, you know what I mean? But then again, it's like, I do look at the Chiefs as even after they went last year. I mean, who's counting them out? I'm not, because of the Mahomes, right? So I guess in a way I kind of agree with that. But I think of this in terms of, I almost sometimes look at these and in my mind, it's like set the quarterback aside and then what's the roster look like? Mahomes obviously makes a big difference for them. That's interesting too. The Seahawks are second. I mean, Darnold good, but it's not like that. I don't think that's a Sam Darnold, right? Like
that's an entirety
juice
of the
in the numbers. They're just loaded. Yeah, I mean, the Titans, another interesting thing about this is like there's a huge gap between the Giants and Titans. So these scores are like you go 6-3 to 5-3 to 4-1. Then you have a whole bunch of teams between, like there's like 12 teams, Chiefs at plus 3-1 down to the Texans at plus 2-2. I mean, that's less than a point between them, right? With Chargers, Broncos, like good teams, Eagles, Ravens, Packers, Lions, Cowboys, all those teams. it's kind of close. And then you have the Giants are minus 2.5. The Titans go minus 4.8 from there. So according to this model, like one of the big gaps is between, Giants, Panthers. They're at minus 2.5, 2.4. The Titans go down to minus 4.8.
Well, by the way, the Giants are the team ranked right ahead of the Titans.
That's what I'm saying.
It's a massive gap.
Right. So there's a gap between the team right above them and them, which is interesting too. So, the Giants, like the Titans, have a second-year quarterback. So you can be hopeful and excited about either of them, but neither of them has really proved much, right?
Well, I think all this information, again, not just this Austin mock piece here, but when you factor in everything that we've kind of discussed this offseason, it's a lot of change. It's a lot of turnover. I think it still shows you that, number one, there's a lot of unproven production on the roster for the Tennessee Titans that has the chance, I think, this year to really take a step forward. Like Cam Ward definitely is unproven right now, but he could take a step forward. I have no idea what Carnell Tate's going to be in his first year, but Oladejo, Falk, like you could look at a lot of positions for the Titans and say, well, I could see it. Like if it works out, then it could end up being pretty good, but there's just no way to know. Like there's not many proven guys that the Titans have right now as it relates to their roster. It also shows you there's still, I think, significant work to do on this roster with Mike Borgonzi, given everything that they've done this offseason, which frankly, I think has been a lot. Like there's been a lot of work done to the Titans roster this offseason. And if you're a fan listening, you're like, yeah, I mean, I would hope that the amount of work that they've done this offseason would correlate to something better than the 27th best roster in the National Football League. And we'll see, maybe it will. But I just think there's a lot of unknown about this particular team and what they're going to look like here. I think there's some upside that if they start to hit close to that upside with a lot of these guys, then you'll see it swing up dramatically. I also think if you're looking around and we're halfway through the season, and it's like, yeah, Cam Ward, it just hadn't really clicked yet, or Carnell Tate's taking some time to get going, or you're not getting really anything from Falk or Oladejo on the edges, then you could look at this roster, particularly if they can't stay healthy, which is a big problem, and say, whoa, it gets bare pretty quickly out there.
Yeah, can't find a right guard, can't find a center. All those trouble spots that we've talked about. Yeah, and the good thing about something like this is there is so much. I mean, there's just so much young. I mean, really, probably on any NFL team, but probably especially some of these quote unquote rebuilding teams that have had high picks and they're trying to figure it out with young quarterbacks. I mean, there are a lot of guys who probably don't move the needle at all when a model goes through the roster, but could end up being really good players. I mean, you mentioned Oladejo. I mean, you have Oladejo and Falk. I mean, what could that look like? There's a pretty wide range of what that could be. You mentioned Tate. I mean, even the young receivers from last year, Helm. There's a lot of guys who, like, you can see it as people, guys who could be good players in the league who have shown signs of it. And it's like, do they actually take that full step or take a significant step this year? There is, there's a lot of young, unproven possibility on the roster.
So I saw Ian Harditz put this out there the other day, who does some fantasy football work for Fantasy Life. And it's the NFL average roster age, like as of right now. Can you guess the top, let's go 5 teams that are the youngest in the NFL? Youngest. You don't have to get them in order, just because there's one of them on there that you're just never going to guess.
Let's see. Youngest teams in the NFL. Yeah, I mean, I'd look at, I guess I would look at like Raiders, some of these bad teams. Are the Titans? Would the Titans be one?
The Titans are number 3.
Okay.
At 25.57, according to this graphic that he's put up.
I mean, the Browns are probably one of the younger
They're
teams.
number 4.
Okay. I mean, my gosh, the Dolphins have done so much. I would assume they're probably in there.
They're number 1.
Okay. So I got 3. So I got Titans.
You got
Browns.
Dolphins, Titans, Browns. So they're 1, 3, and 4 respectively. You're missing number 2 and number 5.
Jets, Cardinals.
Nope. Number 2, you're never going to get. It's the Kansas City Chiefs.
Wow, no kidding.
So it says Kansas City average age of 25.40. Number 2.
I mean, just imagine if you took Kelsey off, they'd be a
know.
teenager team.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And then the Packers are number 5 at
Oh.
25.64.
Okay. How about that? Well, that's a great thing if you're the Chiefs and if you're the Packers to be overall that young, right? And still good.
Yeah, I mean,
What
one
do
of
you
the two of them's got a good coach, but yeah, it's great. But Titans, third youngest team in the league,
Yeah.
according to this graphic that Ian Harden's put out there of Fantasy Life. So the more you know.
Yeah. Well, that's that is like that's where you can look at a lot of different spots of this team and be like, okay, if that guy, maybe it's a little, you'd like to have a young corner like that, and there isn't one. But you have a young safety like that. You have a young linebacker like that. Obviously, we talked about the D line, the edge, lineman,
Quarterback.
their quarterback too. So I mean, even at running back, I mean, maybe their 5th round pick pops this year.
615-737-1025, our phone number. More your thoughts on the Titans. Austin Mock's roster projection at the Athletic has them ranked at 27th. Take more of your thoughts on that. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025. Jared in Spring Hill in the YouTube chat saying, how about them Ravenwood Raptors over the weekend? Joe, what happened? I didn't know the result of this.
Wondered if that would come up. Because, of course, Paul Kaharski's sorry ass didn't show up, but of course he had to send a text. Oh, when the Raptors rise and the pressure's high, or some crap. Well, we had some personnel issues, some injuries, some stuff. So congrats to the Ravenwood Raptors. The Nolensville Knights then responded with a 10-0 5-inning win over the Page Patriots to advance. So they both are in sectionals this week. I wish them both good luck.
I'm sure you
more
do.
one of them more than the other. But yes, we were there, and I will say, I like, there's a lot of trash talk. I mean, one of the parents of our team, who he's played sports his whole life and coached and everything. He's like, that is the most hated team of my lifetime at any level of sports.
Wow. I had no idea until a few weeks ago that the Ravenwood Nolensville baseball rivalry was as nasty as it is.
So it was a very tough loss, but I will say I was proud, and they were fine. Ravenwood celebrated; they whooped it up. That you should, exactly what we would have done. But you know what? There were no issues. Everyone shook hands, moved on. The complete idiot Ravenwood dad who screamed at people and got hauled away by police a couple weeks ago, he kept his mouth shut.
That's good.
So
it's always good.
We're fine.
Any high school baseball game that doesn't end in arrest is it's a good time.
Yeah. We were bracing for something, but it was good. So good job and congrats to the Raptors. Pachorik, I believe, the lefty for them, did a fantastic job.
That's good.
On the mound.
That's good. Lance on the text line said this Austin Mock guy had Seattle at 8.6 wins last year. I mean, yeah, look, the model, there's no model out there that's like perfect. It's real life sports. So you can project all you want to.
Yeah.
We're not saying that this is just gospel. We're trying to paint the picture of kind of where the Titans are sitting from a roster standpoint right now. And again, you want to change the roster ranking. Like if you're a Titans fan listening to it and you're like 27, that seems pretty low given all they did this offseason. Well, have Cam Ward be good. Cam Ward's good. That roster's going to shoot right up.
Right. Like if someone did this, and I honestly don't know how long Austin's been doing this particular thing, but he's done the projections of wins before too. He has a lot of models. But if someone did this again, like back when Stroud was a rookie,
yeah,
I mean they probably ranked like 31st, and then they did what they did, and most of it was him, but some of it was other guys coming on. And there's a lot of guys on all these teams who could move the needle because of this year that's going to come, and we have no idea that they're about to, right? And what you hope is that the Titans have a bunch of those guys.
What you hope is the Titans have a bunch of those guys, and what you really hope in kind of the middle of all that is your high picks really start to blossom. And to expect that they're all going to blossom this year at the same time, Joe, is probably not living in reality. Like we've talked about this before when it comes to hope being a strategy. When you're hoping that all these things fall into place and that's going to lead to like the maximum, whatever your roster's maximum capability is, very rarely does that happen. So like, Titans fans, for instance, you're hoping Cam Moore takes a huge step forward. You're hoping Carnell Tate, who you just drafted 4th overall, is instant impact, best receiver on the team, flirting with 1,000 yards in his first year, and pretty quickly shows signs that he's going to be an elite receiver in this league for a long time. You're hoping Femi Oladejo in year 2 becomes an effective pass rusher for you. You're hoping Keldrick Falk in year 1 can step right in and be an effective pass rush for you. You're hoping you stay healthy at corner. There's a lot of things that involve hope with this team right now, and the reality is the likelihood of all of those things happening this year is pretty low, right? Like it's not a high likelihood that all of those things happen. But can you get some of them, most of them, or particularly the quarterback? Like that would be the most important one. I think we would all agree. But can you start to get on the way and have some progress with all of them? That would be great.
Right.
And I'm not even factoring in J.C. Latham, who I would also add to that as a part of your high picks.
Yeah. Yeah, so some of that is coaching, right? I mean, some of these things, if you've got a good coaching staff, you figure some of these things have a better chance of coming along. But yeah, even if it's not all the way on some of those, some movement in the positive direction, along with like a Jeff Simmons. He's going to have a. I mean, how long can he maintain the level that he played at last year? Is that going to be him for the next couple of years? Is that going to be him this year? Then you make some people's jobs easier, but you're still going to have some of these guys emerge on their own, and none more important, of course, than Cam.
Somebody asking about where the Titans were last year in this exercise. The one I'm finding actually took place before the draft last year, so before they drafted Cam Ward, and the Titans were dead last at 32nd. So between the drafting of Cam Ward and now, they've moved from 32nd to 27th.
There you go. That's progress without winning much. So it's not like they won a bunch of games last year to make you feel better about them. But you have Cam Ward. It's interesting. I mean, Austin says that he's excited about him. I think a lot of people feel that way. But also, it's clearly Cam Ward, and he shouldn't have. Didn't make a huge difference for the Titans roster, and then it's just based on performance. Like the performance wasn't great. He is right that it was a bad situation, but that's where you hoped you can have some more clarity on that. But yeah, they moved up, so that's the young receivers help with that. I guess Skoronski, the year he had last year, he certainly must be helping some, right, after he played that way.
Sure.
Gray, there's a few guys last year. You need you probably need more than what last year did this year. Is that going to happen?
You need your coaching staff to pay off, right? Like you've got everybody keeps talking about how great this coaching staff is that hasn't played a game yet. You need this coaching staff to get in there and coach them up, for lack of a better term, right? Like you need, like J.C. Latham, year 3, need to see it this year, right? Like Cam Ward with Dable involved. We've talked about the concerns in the interior of the offensive line. I mean, even with that, you need to see like that Brian Dable acquisition pay off with Cam Ward this year. Same thing with Tate. Like, Tate, of course, it's more about the long term with him, but the Titans clearly felt good enough about him at number 4 overall with some other options there and available that they think he's got a chance to be a special player. I mean, that's what I have to read from this situation. Otherwise, why are you taking him at number 4? So you need to see some signs this year of him being a special player. Doesn't mean he's got to have 1,500 yards in his rookie year, but you need to see some signs of, like, there needs to be 4 or 5 plays this year where you look at him and you say, yeah, that was a difference in the game right there, right? Like it's Carnell Tate making that play. It's a huge difference in the Titans' outcome of the game right there. That needs to happen for you. And that's, it doesn't sound like a lot, but you add that up over the course of the year, that's a lot. That's a big difference in your quarterback receiver connection there. You see it all around the league. It makes huge differences in winning and losing games. And that's going to happen for the Titans at some point this year with those two.
Yeah. I mean, both of them. But yeah, I mean, Carnell Tate on his own needs to be like a year from now. Okay. That's a clear, that's a clear bump to the roster, to the overall score, whatever one player can do, in the whole, your top team is a +6.3 and your bottom team's a -7.1. Again, that's points against the average roster, so each player is a little fraction of a fraction. But yeah, Carnell Tate, that should be a guy who makes a big difference next year. And yeah, he's got to be a guy who's a consistent playmaker, consistent, right? I mean, to me, yeah. Right away, making some plays. Yeah, he didn't have to have 10 for 150 in the first game, but you'd like a 10 for 150 type game in the first month somewhere.
Yeah, you would. Coming up next, it looked like there was a situation in the NFL that was heading towards disaster that it has now been rectified, and I am, for one, very happy that we will never have to discuss it. We'll get into that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Our football offseason coverage brought to you by Tennessee Brew Works. Finely tuned craft beer for finely tuned fans. Tennessee Brew Works, official craft beer of offseason coverage here on 102.5 The Game. Joe, it looked like there was potential for disaster in the National Football League with replacement referees, which we've seen before in the National Football League. That did not go very well. And they were just a few weeks away prior to this weekend from the expiration of the current labor deal between the NFL and the NFL Referees Association. And now they have reached an agreement. It is a 7-year agreement that will keep them in place through the end of 2032. So that means that this season, you're going to have actual National Football League referees out there, Joe. And we don't have to deal with the replacement refs again. So we all remember that when I guess what was that, a decade ago, 2012 at this point. Did not go very well for the National Football League. It looked like we could be headed there again, and now they have avoided that. They've reached an agreement just weeks before the deadline, and we get actual NFL officials this year, which I, for one, Joe, am excited about. I know that people complain about NFL officiating, and I'm with you. It can be bad at times. And then I think back to 2012 about the replacement referees. I'm like, yeah, NFL officiating is not that bad. It's okay.
Yeah, I mean, all officiating is it's probably true of anything in sports. We all sit back and say, "Oh, that was a terrible call. That was a terrible play by someone who does stuff you could never possibly do." And it's true in officiating too. It's not easy. These guys are pretty freaking good. Yes, of course they make mistakes. They miss stuff. And I think a lot of the anger over NFL officiating is more about the rules themselves. Like, for example, some of the rule, with the quarterback protection rules, things like that. I wish we had numbers on this, but I'm glad that, they got the money. If you look at the coverage of this, they got the money they wanted, which is good. They should get. I've been on the soapbox forever, and I'm going to do it with college sports forever until they figure it out. College sports is such a mess that they're so far from understanding this. But in this day and age, you cannot have officials. Officials are some of the most important people in the outcome of these games, and they need to be compensated as such. Like, they just do. I don't. There's no other way to look at it, and people aren't looking at it correctly, especially through the lens of gambling. You have to compensate these people, and you have to make it so that integrity is a lot easier to have as an official of a college or pro sport with massive attention, millions watching, billions at stake, and billions being gambled on games. So I'm glad they got money. I wish we had the numbers, because I think it's important to I'd like to know how much of the pie they get. They need more, but also the officials agreed to more training, more access to them during the off season, formal training programs, mini camps, things like that, and also a bench, which I think is a good idea. That's basically reserve officials. If poorly performing officials are so bad they need to be replaced, have a bench so someone can you get in there. And that's so these are all, to me, good things. And NFL officials should be making a lot of freaking money. They're supposed to be the best of the best. They should be paid as such. They should be trained as such. And it's never going to be perfect, but it's going to give you the best possible outcome.
Well, I enjoy the get in there and more access to them in the off season and get everything ready to go. Like the bench part of this is interesting. Like I wonder, as the season goes on and there are some officiating crews out there that traditionally don't rate very well, what does that look like? Do they actually pull some of those guys, right? I don't know, but in order to do that, you have to develop a reliable bench in order to do it. And they kind of neglected that. So, and Gene Steratore talked about that. Mike Pereira's talked about that. They got to find more officials and kind of that next wave of officials in the National Football League. So I'm interested to see, and we've talked about this, the money part of this. Well, they've also lost some good officials because they've looked at it and said, well, I can make a lot of money on TV where I don't have to be out there all the time, and I'm just sitting back on a broadcast and explaining the rules to people. So you've lost some of your best officials by doing that. So the deeper of the bench you could have for this, the better off I am with it. I think that's all good. This seems like, if you're an NFL fan just kind of reading through all this, it seems like a pretty good development over the weekend.
It is. Yeah, for sure. Nate's asking, what about full-time? I mean, again, I think they made some of them, 20-something of them, full-time several years ago. And it's like, you're going to be a year-round employee. Yeah, they all should be, to me. But at the same time, I mean, first of all, they should be paid well enough that they wouldn't want another job. I mean, they really should. They should be paid. They should be paid hundreds of thousands of dollars at least, every one of them. I mean, you look at the money involved, and again, look at what one holding call can do to the outcome of a game. I mean, I'm sorry, but like, people are not looking at this, to me, the way they should be. When the money explodes everywhere, it's kind of like before college sports. It's like, gee, you got assistant to the regional athletic director making $400K, but your star quarterback's jersey's being sold and he can't get $5 for it. I mean, like, that's kind of stupidity that I see with officiating. Like, they should be paid. So when you say full time, I mean, I think there's still time for some of them to have jobs in the off season, but like, pay them enough so that they can like chill and do some training, And if
that's the thing. Like, if you're going to pay them all that money, that's fine, but it needs to come with, like, you're working all the time. Like, you're
sure.
in the off season, you're getting better at your craft. Like, there needs to be more of an understanding of what's going on. There doesn't need to be all this inconsistency from crew to crew as to, what we're paying attention to one week, what we're not paying attention to the next week, which I know has been a source of frustration for coaches out there. Of, one crew calls things a certain way, another crew calls things a completely different way, and you're like, well, what am I supposed to teach here, right? Like, there's got to be, I think, more of an emphasis on that kind of stuff as we move forward here.
Yeah, and that's interesting too, because it does, coaches, they know this crew they call handsy stuff, and this crew, they let all that stuff go. It's interesting. It's like, is it important to get all the crews on the same? I mean, it'd probably be nice.
Right? I mean, it's the rule.
It'd be nice,
like,
to
call the rule.
Right.
And I know there's different interpretations and all those things, but like, it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be the same, like, crews every year. That's like, oh, like Ron Torbert's crew is going to call 17 holding penalties in a game. It's like, well, it shouldn't be that way every year. Like, you should, there's enough different games where there's different levels of holding where you should see some fluctuation in that from year to year.
Yeah. No, you should have more consistency for sure. And that's where, again, so I'd like to see the numbers, because, I mean, again, you hear about, like, college in particular. Keep going back to that, but it's like $1,000 a game or some crap, $3,000 a game for like an SEC or Big Ten game. That's disgusting. I mean, it really is. Like, do you understand the power these people have? Like, it's an incredible amount of power, and you don't get why maybe you should compensate them. So I'd love to see the numbers. I hope someone can get to that on the NFL side of things, and what the actual numbers are, because there should be pressure to do more. And again, when in tandem with that, now this is all you do, and that should make it a better product.
The schedule starting to leak out. The NFL schedule coming out later this week.
Oh boy.
Ian just sent us this. Schefter has put out the first Sunday night football game of the season. Any guesses? September 13th. It's been a Sunday. I'll give you a hint. It's a Sunday night matchup we've seen maybe 1 billion times.
Okay, then I'm gonna say Chiefs Bills.
Divisional game.
It is NFC teams. We've seen it at least once a year on Sunday Night Football. Dallas Cowboys, New York Giants.
Oh,
all the time.
Okay,
but that's the first Sunday night game of the year. Cowboys Giants.
All right, a little bit underwhelming.
I would agree.
But everybody loves the NFC East. Gotta love your NFC East.
615-737-1025, our phone number, 615-737-1025. Some numbers that the Titans, while in Tennessee, have not hit yet, which, number one, is kind of incredible, and number two, I wonder if the Titans this year can pull either one of them off. We'll get into that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Hour number 2, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you. We are presented by Green Ventures Landscaping. Get thicker grass, better color, and fewer bare spots with turf application. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com. It is a Reaction Monday brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. We are taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025. Cory Curtis will be with us at 8 o'clock for his weekly visit. So, Joe, I was doing some digging around yesterday, and a thought came to my mind that I was just curious about. I was like, if memory serves me correctly, the Titans in their time in Tennessee have never had a passer that's hit the 4,000-yard mark. The closest, and I did some research on this, was Ryan Tannehill in 2020, who was at 38-19. So he was right on the doorstep, right? Less than 200 yards away.
With a 2,000-yard rusher.
With a 2,000-yard rusher. I mean, it shows you how good that offense was.
Yeah.
But they've never had a 4,000-yard passer. They have also, in their time in Tennessee, never had a receiver that's caught 100 passes in the season. Now, D-Mace came close. D-Mace in 2003 and 2004. In 2003, he had 95 catches, and in 2004, he had 96 catches. So our very own Derek Mason, very close. And you're also talking about a run-heavy offense, a different offense, 20-some-odd years ago. So pretty impressive stuff from D-Mace there. Delaney Walker had 94 catches. Kendall Wright had 94 catches in 2013, which is still kind of amazing that happened. But the Titans have never had a 4,000-yard passer in a season. Warren Moon did it, so the franchise has done it. Warren Moon did it in 90 and 91, where he threw for almost 4,700 yards in each of those seasons. So the franchise has done it. They have not done it since the team has moved to Tennessee. If you're curious, Cam Ward last season threw for 3,169 yards, which ranks 19th in the history of the franchise for yards in a season, just behind Ken Stabler in 1980 at the age of 35, who threw for 3,200 yards.
Wow.
So there you go. Like McNair, I think McNair's best season in terms of just a passing yardage standpoint was 2002, where he threw for 33.87. So again, we've talked about that. It's kind of a different era of the NFL and all those things. A 4,000-yard season in today's NFL, not quite the same thing that it used to be. I mean, it happens much more frequently now. First off, there's another game, so you add a 17th game to it. Secondly, teams are throwing the ball way more than they used to throw the ball. So, combination of those two things, you see quarterbacks hit the 4,000-yard mark more often in today's NFL. The 100 catch thing is interesting. The franchise record goes back to 1964. Charlie Hennigan, 101 catches for 1,500 yards that year. Haywood Jeffries also had 100 catch season. Those are the only two that have had 100 catch season in the history of the Oilers/Titans franchise. So, Joe, my question for you is this. Do either one of those numbers, a 4,000-yard passing season, a 100-catch receiver, does this version of the Titans have a chance to get either one of those this year in your mind? That would require Cam Ward going from 3,100 to 4,000. So you're talking a 900-yard increase from last year to this year. They did sign Wan'Dale Robinson, who has caught over 90 passes in each of the last 2 years. I would assume he would probably be the prime candidate for that, depending on how often they throw the ball to him. But, Joe, in your mind, do the 2026 Tennessee Titans have a prayer of reaching either number for the first time?
Yeah, I mean, one of them means way more to me than the other. Because if Cam Ward gets 4,000, I mean, it could be a lot of empty calories because you're behind and all that, but that still to me is like, okay, that still means that he took steps.
Yep.
Even if he's throwing against soft zones and fourth quarters of blowouts, 4,000 yards is still. I mean, it's yes, we've had 5,000-yard seasons now in some of these offenses, some of these quarterbacks, but that's a pretty big deal. And I think it's possible. I definitely think it's possible. The 100 catches, it's almost like it's Wan'Dale if it happens. It's him. It's the slot guy. I mean, as we know, in Brian Daboll's offense, he did that. So he's going to be used the same way. If he gets to 100, though, I almost think like, does that mean you're taking some opportunities away? Like, it's Carnell Tate not demanding that the ball goes to him enough? Is Ridley hurt? whatever. Like, are you not getting anything out of your tight end room? Are you not throwing to, Spears or like single? I would like to probably not see the 100. I mean, because it's going to be him, and it's like he's going to be him, and he's going to average like 9 yards a catch, and fine, that's a good thing to keep your offense moving. But I mean, I'll take the 80 catch, 1,400 yard season over the 100 catch, 980 yard season or whatever it is.
Yep.
The 4,000 yards, though, that would be a big deal. It just does make me think back on, you have to be of a certain age, but those Warren Moon teams, I mean, 90, 91, that was a run and shoot. And that was like 4,600 yards. Basically, he threw for 4,700 back-to-back years. That was like unheard of back then. It was Haywood, Jeffries, Curtis, Duncan. Man, they were so fun to watch. I mean, that's just a totally different level. But other than that, when there was a schematic, there was about 5 or 6 teams in the NFL that went to the run and shoot. That's a kind of an anomaly here in this history. It is wild that other than that, a 35-year ago kind of schematic thing that was a hot thing in the league for a few years, no one ever in this franchise has done it. And Tannehill's 38-19. Again, people can say, hey, it's great to have a 2,000-yard rusher, but like you said, think about that. They fed off each other. He was great, and obviously Derrick Henry was great.
Well, people may say, 4,000 yards is a heck of a bar to get to. And in some ways it is. Now, you've also seen, I think Derek Carr's done it like 3 or 4 times. I mean, Jameis threw for like 5,000 the year he threw for 30 touchdowns and 30 picks or whatever it was.
Right.
Trevor Lawrence has thrown for 4,000 yards. Jeff George in 1995 threw for 4,000 yards.
Yeah,
you go up and down the list, you can find some quarterbacks on here, and you're like, really? They threw for 4,000 yards in the season. Geno Smith threw for 4,000 yards a couple years ago in Seattle.
It doesn't guarantee excellence.
But it also, I think if you go down the list, I'm not saying it's not hard to get to, but there are plenty of quarterbacks on this list that have thrown for a bunch of yards that you're like, really? The number 1 overall pick should get there at some point. I mean, Blake Bortles threw for 4,400 yards in 2015. Now, if you remember that Jacksonville team, there's a lot of empty calories in that one. But I'm just saying, the 4,000-yard mark, it seems like it's a huge ask to go from 3,100 and add another 900 to it next year. I don't think it is. I think in today's NFL, that's an achievable thing for Cam Ward this year.
Because also, I mean, he went out real early in the 17th game, right?
Cam Ward? It was like the first drive.
Yeah. So he basically played 16 games, right? So if you took that away, you probably would add 200 to the total anyway. He might be at 34. He might be at 34 from last year right now. So then, okay.
I mean, health's a big part of this, obviously.
Of course. Yeah. Of course. So we're obviously assuming health, assuming 17. But if you take that, I mean, what's 600 divided by 17? I mean, it's really not that much.
Right. Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
It's just a matter of I mean, that number it'd be nice to see someone get it. But I am, what's the QBR? Is he up in the 60s? Does he improve on, I mean, can he double the 15 touchdowns? Can he get to 25? Can he keep the picks? 7 picks is a good rookie total for sure. Can he keep that around 10? If you're having this more production and everything else.
It is objectively hilarious to look at the top of this all-time quarterback list of yards in a season. I mean, you've had 15 seasons in the history of the league where a guy has thrown for 5,000 yards or more. And it's like, okay, Peyton Manning threw for 5,400. Drew Brees is on there 4 or 5 times. Dan Marino's on there. Mahomes is on there. Brady's on there a few times. Stafford, all that checks out. And it's like, Jameis Winston, number 10, 5,100 yards in 2019.
And that was the 30-30?
I believe so. Yeah.
My goodness. I mean,
is that the craziest stat line from a season in history? 2019, it was his second. Well, that's not right. Let's see. That was it. Okay. Advanced passing. In 2019, he threw for 5,100 yards, 33 touchdowns, and 30 picks. That's got to be the most incredible season ever, just in terms of just all over the map.
Right. If you take just the yardage and the touchdowns, you're like, so he was an MVP candidate?
Yeah.
He was actually a punchline of a joke that year.
30 picks.
I mean,
for my guy.
Unbelievable. Like, how do
You
you
know
even have the opportunity to throw the ball that often that you get into the fives and you give it to the other team 30 times? That's incredible.
He had 626 passing attempts that year.
My
16
goodness.
games.
I'm looking through the Titans history on that. The only one, so Warren in 91 had 655.
Yeah.
Other than that, no one's ever gotten to 6. That's a big number.
Well, and Tannehill, you mentioned the year he threw for 3,800. He threw the ball 481 times. Like, it's really not that much
Right.
when it comes down to it.
It's balance is
We're turn around hand ball off Derrick Henry.
Balance is always the way, man.
615-737-1025. We'll take your thoughts on the Titans coming up next. 615-737-1025. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 the game. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 the game. Taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025. What'd you say how many pick sixes Jameis threw that year?
7. Someone asked, and I just searched it up. He threw 7 pick sixes. He wasn't just throwing picks. He was like throwing just nasty picks. It's just, here we go. 40 saw the end zone. 40 of his passes found the end zone.
Yeah. 33 for his
7
team.
the other way.
It's pretty incredible.
That's an amazing season.
Let's head back to our phone line. Welcome in Ryan to the program. Ryan, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Morning, guys. How are y'all?
Good, buddy.
Good.
How are you?
Is it out of reach to be overly optimistic and say the Titans can win 10 games this year?
I don't think it's out of reach. I wouldn't bet on it.
Yeah, it's not impossible.
It's not impossible. I mean, we've seen teams over the last couple of years go from 3 wins to 12 wins or 4 wins to 13 wins. So
I mean, everything you said earlier, if they all broke their way,
yeah,
sure,
it could happen. But
Don't
I'm trying to get
bet
7
on
or
it.
8, right? That's I'm trying to get 7 or 8. We can worry about 10, 11, 12 later.
Yeah, 7 and 8 would be reasonable. If we go out, if we get 10, that would be excellent.
Yep, no doubt. Thanks for the call, buddy.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, look, if they get to 10, then that signals big step forward. Maybe Cam Ward does hit 4,000 yards on that front. Again, I'm with you. Like I don't really care all that much about the 100 receptions thing. I mean, it'd be nice for somebody to hit that number at some point.
good for them. You get a little incentive in your contract.
Right. I mean, that part of it's just fascinating to me that nobody's ever done it
Yeah.
since the team has been in Tennessee. So that part of it is interesting to me. But other than that, I mean, it's, you can have a great year as a receiver and not get to 100 catches. I mean, AJ Brown, we know how good he was for the Titans. The most he ever had in a season for the Titans was 70, which is kind of amazing. Like, it's the most he ever had in a season was 70 catches for the Titans. So that just kind of shows you can have a huge impact on the game. Like Carnell Tate can end up being a great receiver and never catch 100 balls in a year.
Oh yeah, yeah. In fact, I look through the greatest of all time. Like, did Jerry Rice ever get 100? Maybe. Did Calvin Johnson, ever get 100? I mean, it's more the yardage, the touchdowns, the average per catch that really defines greatness. Now, some of those guys did have the volume.
It just depends on the type of receiver you are too. Like, people have made the Devontae Adams comparison to Tate in terms of trying to, the route running and all those things, which I've always said, first off, if that's what he is, well, then great. Well, he went through, basically a 6-year stretch where he was catching like 115 balls a year, like, right. And so if that's what he is, you're talking a guy that they moved all over the place. He was in the slot. He's carrying the offense.
Yeah.
So is Tate going to be that? I don't know. The other guy that people talk about with him a lot is DeAndre Hopkins. Well, Hopkins, I think he had 1 year where he caught 111. He caught 115 a couple of times. And then other than that, it was like, 78, 96, 76. And again, some of these seasons you're talking about 16-game seasons rather than 17-game seasons. So you have to factor that into it as well. But like, those are the two guys people talk about with Tate in terms of like, if he reaches his maximum level, could he be either one of those guys, like that style of player? Well, both those guys caught a lot of balls every year.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fine. I'm looking at this. So Calvin Johnson did do it once in his career. It was 122 for 1964. This is stupid. Jerry Rice actually did it 4 times, including his 95 season when Steve Young was throwing to him, by the way, just saying. 122 catches, 1848, and 15 touchdowns. He had 100 and 1,500, back in 90 when the lesser of the Niners quarterbacks during those era was throwing to him.
Yeah.
But so, yeah, but he was that is like when you have a guy that dominant, it's like all the numbers can be that high,
By the way, somebody asking if AJ ever hit the 100 catch mark in Philadelphia. He did one time, 106 catches, 1,400 yards.
That surprises me.
7 touchdowns in 2023 for Philadelphia.
That surprised me that he got it over 100. That is a lot different than here.
Yeah.
But they, it's with AJ, it is smart. Well, it has been smart to get him the ball quickly, right? I mean, he's a tackle breaker and all that stuff. Joey from Gallatin says Michael Thomas had 149 in 20. Is that the single season record? Did he catch 100? I mean, I remember when he had a couple dominant.
I think he broke
seasons.
the record when he made it. Yeah.
140.
I don't know if that still stands.
Well, I mean, that has to, right?
That's
I've never heard
That's
of
the
such
record.
a thing.
Cooper Kupp got close. He had 145 in his monster year in 2021.
And there's another guy who just is. It's some guys like that. Like Cooper Kupp to me was at his best was basically like an extension of the running game. Even as he was a running back with the ball, which is kind of like AJ Brown. But yeah, Michael Thomas in that offense with Drew Brees. I mean, that was fun to watch. It'd be fun to say that about the Titans offense sometimes. Hey, that was fun to watch.
I need to see like how many yards per catch did he average that year? 149 catches is 11.6 per catch. So not a huge number, but
no,
still a lot of catches.
Yeah, but yeah, you're contributing.
He was targeted
a bit to the offense
185 times.
Wow.
185 times. How many times did Drew Brees throw the ball that year? That was 20. Apparently in the NFC South in 2019, no one ran the ball at all. Like you had Jameis throwing for 5,100 yards, and Drew Brees threw the ball. Let's see. He only threw it 378 times that year. Completion percentage of 74.3. He also got hurt that year, so there's that too.
Yeah, that would have been a bit.
He only played 11 games.
Calvin Johnson in that 2012, Matthew Stafford targeted him 204 times.
Yeah, I probably would too.
Yeah. And it was basically like it was double cover. He was bracketed.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, just fine. Just throw it up. 1964. It's a pretty good number.
That's pretty good.
That's the thing. That guy, he didn't have the longevity, but like a 1681, 1964, 1492, 3 straight years with 33 touchdowns. I mean, the run he had, it was like probably about as good as anyone's had.
Other than D-Mace, I mentioned Kendall Wright, got 94. The Titans haven't had anybody really close to that other than those two guys. Drew Bennett would be the next one at 2004 at 80 catches. So it goes from D-Mace at 95, 96. Kendall Wright had 94. Delaney Walker at tight end had 94 in 2015 when he was the only person who could catch the football on the team. And then the next one isn't even close. It's Drew Bennett with 80 in 2004.
Texters asked about Rashard Matthews, thought he got close. He did not. He had 65 catches in 2016. He was one of the good stories. Yeah, he had 945 yards, 9 touchdowns. He had a really good, and then he quit like midway through 2017, which was just such a bad. I was like, dude, get paid. What are you doing? Because whatever they brought in Corey Davis and Taywan Taylor. I don't know. It's like you're under contract. You're getting paid to play football. But continue to do that.
Ed on the text line saying, who has more to prove this year, Ward or Saleh? That's a good question. I would probably always lean number 1 overall pick quarterback in that discussion, but it's a good question. When you're talking to a head coach that is on his second stop, but in the immediacy of it, I will go Ward.
I would go Ward because, again, you don't know how something's going to work out. But if Saleh comes out and his overall record is like the percentage is just as bad or he gets a little worse because of this year, that's probably the conversation is probably going to be, they might have screwed up with Cam Ward. I just think whereas, and especially if that's the case, really, honestly, with Saleh, it's like, look what he took over. It's year 1. I think this year, I think definitely the second year number 1 overall pick would be the answer.
Yeah. By the way, somebody asking about Frank Wycheck, what did he catch, like his highest total? He caught 70 2 different times. But you're talking about an offense that did not throw the ball that much.
Yeah. That's pretty good. That's pretty good number, man. He was underrated key guy.
He caught 70 in 98, and he caught 70 in 2000 as well. And he caught 69 and 99. So he was right around 70 for 3 years in a row. So in that offense where you're turning around and Eddie George is carrying the ball like 30 times a game, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good stuff. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. We'll have the Rex Rant coming up later this hour at 7:45. Cory Curtis at 8 o'clock on the program here today. Coming up next, the Predators general manager search is still ongoing. What does all this mean for the head coach? We'll get into that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Got some tickets to give away, a 4-pack of tickets to see the Nashville Sounds take on the Iowa Cubs at First Horizon Park coming up on Thursday. Caller 4, 615-737-1025. Caller number 4 will win a 4-pack of tickets to see the Sounds take on the Iowa Cubs coming up on Thursday at First Horizon Park. We'll have the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode here in just a few minutes at 7:45. Cory Curtis from News 2 will be with us at 8 o'clock. Joe, we discussed it last week. The Predators still in the midst of their search for general manager, and we went up and down as to what that looks like. Why is it taking so long? Why is it still taking so long? Who's going to end up being the general manager? All those things, and all those things are still answers that we don't know, or that we don't have, and the questions that we don't know the answer to. Putting that part of it on the back burner for the moment, I am curious as to what this means for Andrew Brunette, right? You've got a new general manager that has not been hired. I would assume here in the next few days and weeks, they're going to hire somebody at some point. And then one of the first things you've got to determine if you're the new general manager, even beyond the draft and the free agent stuff, is, all right, what about your coach? Like, are you keeping Andrew Brunette next year? Is that something that the Predators are trying to push for you to keep Andrew Brunette and then make a decision after that? I mean, kind of the position I've taken on it is I'm leaving it totally up to the next GM. That's be the way I would handle it. Like, if you want Andrew Brunette to be the head coach next year and then reevaluate after that, that's what we'll do. If you want to bring in your own guy as a head coach, then we'll do that. Like, that's kind of how I would do this. And it's not like, there are still some coaches out there that are available. It's not like there's a huge rush here in terms of, like, you got to either make a decision on Andrew Brunette right now, or he's just going to be your coach next year. I mean, Bruce Cassidy's still out there. There's a lot of guys that are still out there and available in the coaching ranks. But I do wonder, like, how long this is taking. Does that signal anything to you one way or the other in terms of the Andrew Brunette part of this, Joe Rexrode?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question. It's it's good that we can revisit the weekly. Hey, they're going to hire someone or what? Although Alex Doherty has me conditioned that it's like a month away still, so I'm going with that. But it's like there's basically, could someone who you might hire or might have hired be hired away somewhere else? Obviously, there's other coaching moves out there, so I mean, I guess you potentially could lose out on something like that. But I think if the new GM, as we've talked about, comes in, you would think that, and if he's going to make the change, I would think it would not be, I think I want to make a change. Let's do a coaching search. Let's see what's out there. I think it would be more like, this is the guy who I've had in mind, and so let's go do it. So I still think ultimately it just depends on if that's the case, and that could certainly still be the case in a month or in a week or at 9:07 today when the Preds put out the press release that they hired a GM.
Yeah, could be. Like, if it's Tom Fitzgerald, does that make it any more or less likely that Andrew Brunette is the head coach, given the fact that, albeit briefly, they did play together here in Nashville. So there is that. Like, people have thrown that out there. I don't know. Like, my conventional wisdom would tell me if it's Fitzgerald, Brunette's probably the coach next year, and then they either reevaluate early in the next year or at the end of next season. Brunette's got 1 year left on his contract, I believe. So you're talking about, generally speaking, Joe, both the coach and the team oftentimes like to have kind of a longer-term solution figured out either way when you're heading into the final year of a contract, either in terms of he's out and we're moving on and getting somebody else, or we're signing him to an extension. It doesn't always play out that way. But I know coaches don't love going into a final year of their contract with nothing decided moving forward. Now, I'm not saying that Andrew Brunette should have anything decided, because I think it makes total sense, if you are going to keep him, to see how it goes before you're making any sort of contract decision there. Like, if they extended him based on what we've seen to this point, I mean, that would be borderline reckless in my mind. So I have no problem with them keeping Andrew Brunette if that's the way that things go here. And we've talked about this. I think he deserves credit for keeping things steady this past year when it looked like it was totally going off the rails earlier in the year. But as we've also pointed out, at some point you can't start the season, 6, 11, and 5 or whatever it is that they've started every year and think that you're going to crawl out of it all the time. So that's just as much on the coach as it is anybody else. So I am very fascinated to see when they make this decision, what that means for Andrew Brunette. I think a lot of Predators fans just assumed when Barry Trotz was stepping down that was automatically going to mean a new coach is coming in at some point. I would say it's never really good news when you're the head coach, when the general manager who hired you is gone and there's not a laundry list of success that's in front of that with him being gone. So whether it's immediately or shortly into next year, like I don't think the leash is going to be long either way on Andrew Brunette. And I think you've got to know that if you're him heading into the situation. Like that's probably best case scenario for you is you're retained as head coach, and then you better start next season off pretty well, or you're going to be on the chopping block at that point.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be shocking if that's exactly how it turned out. And if it is Fitzgerald and they keep Brunette, that's probably like the least exciting outcome for fans that you could have. Not that I don't know. I think people have a reasoned middling kind of view on Brunette that you just laid out there, but still, if you're a fan, you want somebody new in the front office, fresh ideas, totally different, and you want that guy to have some hotshot coach that's okay. This is gonna be the next great young coach in the league. That'd be the most exciting outcome. But I think what you laid out there is definitely possible. Caleb says, to me, it's simple. Barry's still the GM. He's not going to be the one to fire him. Yeah.
Well, Barry's not going to fire him. No.
Right.
I think we know that.
Yeah.
By the way, he
shouldn't.
Like, if he's not going to be the decision maker moving forward, he doesn't need to be the one making the decision on the coach now. So, I have no problem with Barry Trotz not firing Andrew Brunette over the last few weeks. It should be up to the next guy.
Absolutely. And there is a case, absolutely, to keep Andrew Brunette. And so that's exactly why that guy should have the opportunity. Craig says, if it's Fitzgerald, I'm going to lose a lot of faith. I want someone who the only thing they know about Predators hockey is where Nashville is on the map. The way we've been doing it has produced sustained high-end hockey for 26 years. Then that gets into if it is him, then you get into the question of, okay, sure, there are shared, there are people who have worked together. There's a connection. He's part of like the tree.
Yep.
He played here, and the playing here doesn't, whatever. He played here a long time ago. There's a shared connection, maybe philosophically, right, with the New Jersey front office and all that. But is that really continuing? Like to me, I think that's a little bit of a jump to say that's like continuing. That's just, it's going to be just business as usual because they hired Tom Fitzgerald.
Redemption on the YouTube chat says, I think the next GM will give Bruno a year. You want that bullet to use to keep your job security. No need for a GM, assuming it's an outside GM, to hire a new coach immediately. I mean, I have seen that strategy before of, all right, you hold on to the coach that you've inherited for as long as you feel like you can, and then you fire him, and then that gives you a little bit more clock if you're the GM.
He's your meat shield?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Hi, meat shield.
Well,
good to meet you.
I guess the other part of that I would say is until proven otherwise, and maybe Bill Haslam proves otherwise very quickly, but until proven otherwise, I'm operating under the assumption that this is pretty much the most patient organization in all of sports, because that's what they've been, is the most patient organization in all of sports. And we can debate the pros and cons of that all day, but that's what they've been. So, like, if you're a new general manager taking the job, I think that's something that's attractive about the job, is you're going to get some time here to get your system and your plan and all those things in place, unless it's just a total disaster. And then maybe you reevaluate at that point. There's a little bit of a wild card here because Bill Haslam's not been in charge that long. So, how long is he willing to wait on all this stuff? But until proven otherwise, like, I think one of the attractive parts of this job, beyond all the other stuff we talked about, if you're a general manager candidate, is you feel like you're going to get a pretty decent leash here as GM.
You do. But, yeah, ownership, Bill Haslam also might look at this as like, okay, now it's been a transition period, and now, like,
at some point, you're going to have to win.
Yeah, and I'm just saying, so maybe the impatience level does end up rising here a little bit, and in some cases that might not be a terrible thing. Jacob in the YouTube chat says, Bruno did a good job of keeping the team on the rails at the end. We need to figure out who was in charge of the team that ran it off the road, set the car on fire during the first 2 months. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, the start. If he's back, you would have to think that. Like what Redemption said, I don't think it's like you get a year no matter what. I don't think that
start's got to be
the
better.
case. Yeah.
And it's been 3 years in a row that they've had pretty bad starts and they overcame it the first year. I mean, they had a bad start, middle, and finish the second year. And then last year it's a horrific start and then they played well, but it's too late. I mean, you just couldn't dig yourself out of it. So the starts and how poor they've been have been consistent over 3 years. That has to change next year. He won't be the coach. Like, I understand that Barry Trotz stuck with him. You're not going to get another general manager to stick with you on the final year of your contract if you're in December and you're the worst team in the league. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
You're going to get fired at that point. So I think you have to know that if you're Andrew Burnett heading into this. Dennis says new Preds GM Chad Brinker. Is that why you stepped down?
Maybe. Just go across the
take
street.
this thing over to the hockey side stuff.
Hey, he knows facilities. He knows security cameras. He knows sprinklers. So you could apply.
I mean, Saban's walking around.
What does he know about ice? Forming ice.
I mean, he was up in Green Bay for a long ass time.
That's true.
He was around a lot of it.
He probably, if I had to guess, he's probably gone ice fishing at some point.
Oh, you would think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Probably an expert.
It's not the worst idea, Dennis. You know, keep him in town.
Did you get a discount? Like, is Amy still paying him? Like, what's that look like?
That's a good point too. That's a good question. Yeah. Meanwhile, we haven't talked about the Titans' huge deep dive search for his replacement.
Yeah.
There's no reporting
how's
on
that
it,
going?
but I'm sure they're just a super double secret probation search.
The Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode is coming up next. Cory Curtis from News 2 at 8 o'clock. All that ahead, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game.
Sometimes he wakes up on the wrong side of the bed. And sometimes he's just, well, Joe.
Awkward moment. Let's do it.
This is the Rex Rant, now on Robby and Rexrode.
All I know is I'm pathetic.
Let's talk about some love and sex. All right.
Also nicknamed Dr. Sex.
You guys, just all of you are so damn soft.
Couple inches, right? From like standard.
Oh, man, I thought I'd do my show about sex all day long. Yeah.
And you will respect my authority.
It's the excessive sex and the excessive violence.
It is time for the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode, brought to you by Rapid Response Generators. Power when it matters most. Check them out today at rapidresponsegenerators.com. Joe, the floor is yours.
Not about sex today. Just want everybody to know, okay? So if you're in the car, young people, well, we won't talk about that. We won't talk about any mythical characters who may or may not actually exist or anything like that, okay? But he does kind of sound like Cartman, doesn't he? Respect my authority. I can't wait. I can't wait today to find out how he's going to perpetuate talking about this story the entire day. Like, nothing's happened, right? Like nothing's happened for a few days.
Well,
what are you going to do?
It's a long time.
Well, that's true. But if nothing else comes out, what's the angle?
So like I was saying, I think that red lingerie is better than black lingerie.
Okay. That's not technically okay. All right. I'll get off that subject. All right. So 9 years ago, Tom Petty came to Bridgestone Arena. And I remember, we had a conversation in my household, my wife and I, Katie. Happy Mother's Day. I cleaned the bathroom for you yesterday. You're welcome. And it was no easy task. So we had a conversation, and I famously said, man, let's just, the bills and the kid, let's get them next time. Let's get them next time, okay? Joe Walsh, by the way, was playing guitar on the tour. And for people who may have seen Tom Petty at Bridgestone, I never saw Tom Petty, which is a regret because I love Tom Petty. And sadly, Tom Petty died a few months later in 2017. And that's actually the saddest part of the story. But, of course, this becomes a Rexrode family story because Katie tells everybody the story. Oh, yeah. Well, I want to go see Tom Petty, but Joe said, no, we'll get him next time. So that's fine. She will continue. This will be a story she'll tell. I mean, I promise you at some radio event, she's told you the story. Right? Oh, yeah. I guarantee you she's told you the story. So, okay. So then the mantra in the home is always go to the show. That's great. I love it. So we've tried to live by that. So then Saturday night comes around. Now it's different because Katie hates the Eagles. She thinks the Eagles suck. Okay. I like the Eagles. I love some Eagles songs. But I really like the Eagles, and how many chances more are there going to be to see the Eagles? Right? That's a good
question.
And it's probably not many. So I campaigned hard to try to go to the Eagles on Saturday, and she was having none of it. And I was like, "Go ahead, go by yourself," or it's like, "What are you going to do?" Then I started looking up set lists because I was like, "Okay, maybe they play Desperado and songs that I hate or whatever they do. I hate that song, but." I realized, I hate that this happens to me. Maybe it happens to you. I thought Joe Walsh might be dead. He's not. He's alive, and he's playing on the tour. And I love Joe Walsh.
Good to know.
Yeah. Congrats on being alive. And, they play In the City, which is a great Joe Walsh song for the Eagles, but, they play Life's Been Good. Joe Walsh plays Life's Been Good. They play Funk 49 when he was with the James Gang. That's a great song. They play Rocky Mountain Way. That's another great Joe Walsh song. So it's not just an Eagles concert. They have awesome Joe Walsh songs. And I didn't go. And I just think I'll probably never see the Eagles. I mean, Don Henley and Joe Walsh are two all-timers. I mean, Vince Gill is playing with them, and he's basically taking the Glenn Frey role. That's awesome. I need someone to tell me that the concert sucked, okay? If you need to lie to me, lie to me. I need you to tell me that it was a trash concert and that I missed nothing because I have total FOMO right now and regret. And I'll be honest with you. Last night I was looking, I was like, where else are they going? I'm going to go find them somewhere and see the tour, even though they're in my backyard Saturday night. So someone tell me they sucked, please.
Looks like they're in Davie, Florida, coming up Wednesday,
Yeah.
and then Arlington.
Yeah, it doesn't help. No, it's a bad
Next
deal.
week.
It doesn't help. And then they're going back to the Sphere in Vegas, but it's not till the fall, and it's
A lot of time in the Sphere. They're in the Sphere for a while.
And I've seen you too in the Sphere, and I love the Sphere. I would advise anybody going to the Sphere, don't be too messed up when you go in the Sphere.
Let's head to the phone line. Welcome in Gover to the program. Gover, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Tell me they sucked, Gover.
Rexrode, I can't tell you that because I didn't see the show either. But I will say that I'm fresh off of my 44th Dave Matthews show in Memphis last weekend.
Nice.
And we missed you. We missed you, buddy. And I'll tell you that we are now too old for general admission, VIP all the way. That's not why I'm calling.
There we go.
Just you relate to that. I'm calling because our best friends that we play cards with every night tells a phenomenal story about how when she was in high school here in Brentwood, that she had tickets to see the Victory Tour, Michael Jackson.
Oh, man.
And
yeah.
And her got all dressed up, and her mom found out that she hadn't done her homework, and she wasn't allowed to go. And never saw Michael Jackson live after that. So please understand that as bad as yours is, there are people that it worse.
That's amazing. Thank you, Gover.
Thank you, Gover.
Have a great day, guys.
Oh, that hurts, man. That's a tough one. That might be the worst one I've heard.
Get that homework done.
Wow.
Make sure it's done.
That is a tough one. I'll tell my worst one.
Good parenting. There we go.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
I mean, like that. You as a parent, you owe this like that. Like whole. I hope that like she got ice cream every time she wanted after that or whatever she wanted. I'll tell my worst one. I know I've told it on here before, but freshman in college, Red Hot Chili Peppers in that album. They were playing the auditorium at Michigan State, which is like right next to my dorm, which is this awesome little auditorium. And I got a chance to go. Guy on my floor had a $5 ticket. He was like, anybody go with me, $5. Nah, I got to study for a midterm tomorrow. Well, not only was it the Red Hot Chili Peppers in their prime, there were two opening bands that I hadn't yet heard of. Did a few months later. I listened to both of them all the time, called Pearl Jam and Smashing Pumpkins. Yeah, $5. No, thanks. I'm good.
Thought you were going to say Creed. Let's head back to the phone line. Welcome in Bobby to the program. Bobby, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Good, buddy.
Good.
Hey, I was there, Joe. So they came out, first song, they played Hotel California, I guess from their point of view to get it out of the way. Then they did, I forget what the next one. Most everybody's still standing up, it's a rock and roll show, right? So then Henry starts talking, and he says, all right, well, we want everybody to sit down so the people behind you can see. Like, sit down? You kidding me, right? So, yeah. Wasn't great.
There we go.
How was the music though?
Average. I mean, I've seen them.
There we go.
I saw the Hotel California tour. I mean, I've seen them quite a few times. So, I mean, they're getting old.
There we go. Thank you, Bobby.
I feel a little better. Thank you. I feel a little bit better.
Rexrode's mood has instantly been lifted.
I heard about the sitting down thing. Actually, Marquise told me because Marquise's wife went to this show.
Yeah.
And told me about the sitting down thing. I was like, that is a class.
Everybody,
we're all getting old.
Sit down, man. You've been standing up too long.
Don't make much noise and disrupt the elderly at our concert.
Cory Curtis from News 2 will be with us coming up next. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode 102.5 The Game. Final hour, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Monday morning. We are presented by Green Ventures Landscaping, outdoor patios, landscaping design, lawn maintenance, and more. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com. We head to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcoming our friend Cory Curtis to the program from News 2. Cory, good morning. How are you?
Robert, it's a delight to hear your voice again today.
Well, it's a delight to hear your voice as always. We appreciate you taking time to be with us on the program this morning. And Cory, sometimes, I get bored and I start looking at random stats. And there was one that I was looking at yesterday that I want your take on. Since the Titans have moved to Tennessee, they have not had a 4,000-yard passer. They've not had a receiver that's caught 100 balls in a year. Are either one of those in jeopardy this year for the Tennessee Titans? Could they finally have a quarterback that throws for 4,000 yards in today's NFL, which is becoming less and less difficult to accomplish?
It's funny you bring that up.
Are you going to tell us about when you guaranteed Will Levis would do it in year 2?
Yeah. That was a bad take. That was a massive overestimation. But hey, Joe, thank you for reminding it.
Well, I wasn't going to do it, but I thought you were going there.
You didn't even
No,
wait?
I'm not going there.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. My bad.
Thanks for watching the show last night. We were going to talk about numbers.
That's right.
I set the over-under for Cam Ward last night for 3,400 yards. I don't know what the Vegas over-under is, but I said 3,400 yards. It's 200 yards a game. So, no, I don't think he'll get there. I think that's too big of a leap. I don't know how many quarterbacks take that big of a leap in year 2. I know Joe Burrow, was very good from the start. Then he got hurt, but then, came back with Jamar Chase and had monster numbers. I know Josh Allen, year 1 to year 2 to year 3 was a massive difference. And, there's a lot that could be better with Cam Ward than last year. Number one, the coaching and the plan of attack on offense. And, we have to see what that unleashes, but I think to expect that much, is a lot. This Calvin Ridley has proved to be kind of barely 1,000 receiver yards at this point, if he can stay healthy. Wan'Dale Robinson just had his first 1,000-yard season. And then, you've got a lot of younger guys who are still trying to ascend. So, is 4,000 yards possible? Sure. But to say it's going to happen, no.
By the way, I have the over-under total from FanDuel Sportsbook on Cam Ward. 32.50. 32.50 and a half.
Okay, not too far off.
So if he plays 17 games, do you take the over or the under on 32.50?
I'll take over.
I'd probably take the over on that. Yeah.
I mean, he threw 3,100 last year in an awful situation.
Well, that's kind of my point. So my 3,400, would you also take the over?
I think I would.
I think I would too. Yeah.
I may not.
That's a better over under.
I probably wouldn't push it to 4,000. Like, you're talking a 900-yard jump at that point, and it's not impossible, but I wouldn't pick it. But I wouldn't push it to 4,000.
Yeah. So everyone, you, me, and Julian have all said the over. What number would you have to get to start being scared to take the over?
I think for me, probably about 36, somewhere around there. I'd be like, all right, let's
I think that's reasonable. I think that's reasonable. There's just a lot that's unproven.
All right. What else did you have? What other over-unders did you have?
Oh, okay. Well, let's see. Receiving yards, we had Carnell Tate at 800 with 5 touchdowns.
Okay.
Over.
How much over? You think way over?
No, but
okay.
I think he's going to flirt with 1,000-yard season like A.J. Brown did as a rookie.
Yeah, okay. I was going to say an A.J. Brown-like season.
Well, that was a 52-catch, 20.2 per catch season, right? But maybe flirt with 1,000 in a little less dynamic way.
I think I had Wan'Dale Robinson also at 800, but only 3 touchdowns.
Okay. That I could take. I mean, my question with him is like, he's caught over 90 balls the last 2 years.
What's the volume?
What's the volume going to look like? And if the volume is that high here, does that mean that it's probably not going as well with other receivers, or does that mean that they're just throwing the ball way more than maybe we think heading into this year?
Yeah, and it did a ton of short passes.
Exactly.
Can you name, speaking of that, because we were talking about the 100-catch plateau there, Corey, can you name the 2 receivers in Titans/Oilers franchise history who have 100 catches or more in a season?
Haywood Jeffries.
There's one. Well done. Run and shoot, baby.
You know,
You're not going to get the other one. If you do,
I'm not.
Go ahead, just try. But if you do, like, I will wash your car, hand wash your car, and wax it.
Drew Eller.
It's a good guess, but no.
Charlie Hennigan in
1964.
1964.
You know, I've heard of that name before. I can't say that I ever watched him play, but
Rexrode was on the sideline.
Yeah, ripping a dart on the sideline.
Yeah, exactly. No,
so it's been a while. Is what we're establishing.
I care less about the 100 catch mark. Like, it's possible to have really good seasons as a wide receiver and not really approach 100 catches. I just think it's fascinating that since they've moved to Tennessee, they've never had anybody do either, right? Like, that's just how many franchises is that the case during the same span of almost 30 years?
Well, the Chicago Bears are probably
they're probably in there, yeah. That's probably in there.
Just saying.
You're probably in there. No doubt about that.
Yeah.
So
get out.
You're looking at
Sorry.
No, you're good. You're looking at a roster projection. We were going over this earlier in the show. So Austin Mock at The Athletic has put together this formula that kind of like ranks the rosters in the league, and the Titans are at 27th. So I think a lot of Titans fans would hear that and they would say, well, they've done so much this offseason via free agency, via the draft, that you would hope there's a better return on it than the 27th best roster in the league. I just think so much of this, like the discussion comes down to like the jump that Cam Ward takes and like what does Tate look like? Like, to me, if those two guys take or in Ward's case, take a jump, and in Tate's case, make an immediate impact, well, all of a sudden your roster looks a whole lot better if you've got good quarterback play and a legit number one option at wide receiver, does it not?
Look, we've seen this over and over again, how good quarterback play makes everything a whole lot better. I mean, the last few years of Brady in New England, I kept saying this roster is not that good. When they went up to New England to play them in the playoffs, the people in New England got all upset with me because I told them the Titans roster was better and it was a good matchup for them. And so you can see the level of elevation a good quarterback can be. That's what we talk about all the time. You know, that's why you need the good quarterback to elevate the team, because and even if the team is good, you see how a bad quarterback drags it down. We saw how a bad game plan dragged down the roster last year. You know, that's why the last half of the season was so important, you know, with Mike McCoy and the offense that they ran, because we got to see that the offensive line was competent, that Tony Pollard, in fact, still could run the football, you know. And so, you know, we always talk about the NFL and that all these guys are talented. And it's true. Now, the Titans have won 12 games in 3 years. They obviously need an upgrade in talent, but there are things that have made them look worse. The players look worse than they actually are. They're ranked 27th because that's what the results say they are. Can they make a massive leap in that department? Yeah, they can. I mean, what was the Commanders roster ranked?
It's a great question.
Preseason on Jaden Daniels' rookie season. I'll guarantee you it was probably in the bottom 5.
Yeah, just like the Texans the year before.
Yes. You know, so, you know, and look, as a person who puts out rankings, it's not easy, and you could only do it based on the data points that you have. Now, a team like the Chargers, for years, I have looked at their rosters and said, I love this roster, and I move it up higher. Yet they always seem to disappoint me.
It's true.
Yeah. No, yeah, and you know, this particular exercise is, you know, it's going through each person, and it's like adding or subtracting a value or whatever. But you know, that's where there are so many guys, and not just on this roster, on any roster, where, you know, young or we're banged up or whatever. Like, the unproven members of a roster can obviously make such a difference if you get a lot of people taking a step, right? Like an Oladejo or something like
yeah.
that.
Well, I mean, gosh, look at Jalen Harrell last year.
Yeah.
He looked like an afterthought on the roster, and then he gives you 5.5 sacks. I mean, did anybody have Chim Dike going All-Pro in the kick return game?
No.
Right, and that's where
Titans were probably ranked 31st or 32nd in the kick return game going into last season, and they turned out the best one in the entire league.
Right. So yeah, like if you have a great draft class, you're going to turn these rankings on their head. So got a quick question for you that Ed threw at us earlier, Corey, Ed from New Jersey. More to prove this year, Cam Ward, Robert Saleh.
Oh. For me, Robert Saleh.
Okay. Interesting.
Just because, look, he's been a head coach before, and it didn't go well. And not just the record. There were some other things that didn't go well. Wanting to seize coaches' cell phones and all those sorts of things. But when we see coaches, usually coaches win or they lose. That's who they are. There's not a lot of Belichicks that flounder in one place and suddenly are the greatest coach in the world at another. Because not a lot of those coaches get Tom Brady. But that just doesn't happen very often. It does happen. It just doesn't happen very often. So for me, I like him. I think he's sharp. Obviously he's a great defensive coordinator, but we've seen for years there's a difference between that and being a great head coach. And obviously having good quarterback play is part of it. I still think Cam Ward's going to be a good quarterback in this league. I saw enough good. I know Jared is probably listening and saying he has the worst ratings in the league last season. And there are reasons for that. Some of them his, some of them not. I have expectations for him to succeed. And I like Robert Saleh. I hope he succeeds, but I need to see him do it.
All right, Corey, last thing for you. How happy are you that we're not going to see replacement referees in the National Football League this year?
Well, in a league worth absolutely billions of dollars, it would be stupid. It would be absolutely stupid to not be able to come up with some kind of agreement. And I know businesses are businesses, but that league is so flush with cash. I mean, come on, guys. And not to say that the referees should be, the richest men on earth.
No, they should make a ton of money.
They take a ton of abuse. I do think there should be.
They have a ton of power. They have a ton of power.
Yeah, they can decide games. Which that, and I'm probably more forgiving of referees than just about anyone, understanding that they're human, and players and coaches make mistakes all game long, and to expect the referees to be perfect is impossible. But there are moments in games where calls change games, and I think they need to be much more cognizant of that when they make those calls. But I get that it's hard. I do. I get that it's hard. But I think fans need to know that steadily incompetent referees are shown the door.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, develop some sort of bench and have some options if you're a league like the NFL. Corey, thank you, sir. Appreciate you taking time to be with us, and we will talk to you next week.
All right. Joe's a jerk, but you live with your mistakes and I live with mine.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Joe one time on the show said that he
man.
would rather have Mason Rudolph than Drake May. So we all make mistakes.
That is true. And by the way,
yeah.
And you mentioned Stilly, what he's saying about now. He's not saying that. He's saying, "Hey, did Mike Vrabel ever go to the movies in 2023?"
He's a little okay. I know you guys are gonna go, and I always do this, but so
it's my fault.
I've given Jarrett a hard time. I'm like, you are completely fixated on that story. I mean, and I don't know if he, genuinely is or what. It doesn't matter. But so yesterday we're doing our streaming show, Sports Extra Daily, and we're 10 minutes in, and Vrabel and Rossini come up, and we haven't really talked about them much at all. It's only a 30-minute show, and we've got other stuff to talk about. But we talked about it for nonstop for the last 20 minutes because the the show director is a Patriots fan, and
Oh.
we were discussing. He thinks like there's no way that Rabel gets fired, and I was just trying to explain to him from like 30 years experience doing this that most of these controversies only get worse. They only get worse. They rarely rally and get better. So it was interesting. I guess what I'm trying to tell you is interesting how I let myself get hijacked by the topic.
That's fine every once in a while.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
That's acceptable.
Not every day, 3 times a day.
Thank you, Cory.
All right, guys. Good talking to you.
We'll see you.
Yeah.
Cory Curtis from News 2 every week at 8 o'clock on Mondays. We'll take your reaction to what Cory had to say. More your thoughts on the Titans coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at 1025 The Game for live shows and exclusive content. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode. 1025 The Game's Chasing Big Joe show will be broadcasting live this Wednesday at Nash Dogs at 1427 Robinson Road. Nash Dogs now serving their Old Hickory Cafe, plus catering, corporate events, food truck bookings, and more. Find out at nashdogs.com. Stop by. You can win tickets to see the Nashville Smash take on the Boston Butchers in Team Boxing League coming up in Municipal Auditorium on May the 23rd.
Meanwhile, Ian taunting me with some Joe Walsh riffs. Little Funk 49 there, for those who don't know. I see what you're doing.
That's a good song.
He's 78 years old, by the way. Look that up. 78.
And someone on the text line was like, toothless Joe Walsh screaming Rocky Mountain Way was just incredible. Very angry.
I feel like Bobby calling in made you feel better because he was like, concert wasn't all that great.
Yeah, but also like he saw them on the actual Hotel California tour 50 years ago. So it's like, okay, well, if you've seen him a bunch of times, I'm sure right now you're like, yeah, it's okay. But if you've never seen him, you might think it's cool. Oh well, we'll never know. Thanks, Katie.
Maybe they'll come back.
Thanks, Katie. It's not Mother's Day anymore. I'll rip you on my show all day.
It's actually pretty far away from Mother's Day now. Hold another year.
That's right.
Just rip her the whole time.
It's gonna be a long ass year.
Long
honey.
year, Katie. Look out.
I'm gonna be especially annoying this year.
I'd forgotten about Corey's Will Levis 4,000 yards take until you brought it up last segment.
Cory does a great job.
We all have our takes.
Yeah, absolutely. Cory does a great job with the sideline reporting for the Titans preseason games. There are occasionally slightly optimistic forecasts.
I think he just spent too much time around Rand that preseason.
Yeah.
Who,
blame everything on Rand.
Well, it was just, I remember they did I guess it was that year. They did the preseason interview with Rand in like the box. And I don't think Cory was doing it. I think it was like Charles Davis and whoever was calling the game. But it was like, yeah, man, let me tell you, like, I don't even know. Like, we got so many good players. I don't know how they're all going to get on the field. Like, just it's amazing, this roster we put together.
I got GMs texting me like, my God, can I get your fourth corner? How is your fourth corner this good?
We checked every box. Like, every single box was checked. Like, all these coaches we hired first, like, we know we have a good coaching staff. Like, we know it.
Yeah.
Worked out well.
Charles Davis, by the way, he can be a little optimistic.
But,
I mean, what do you expect, right? I mean, it's the local broadcast for the local professional football team. There might be a little bit of optimism in August.
We all have our
We'll
takes.
get there. We'll all get there by August with this team.
I'll never forget Gabriel Bork, formerly of the Nashville Predators, had a pretty good series.
Throwback.
Yeah, against the Red Wings when the Predators beat them in 2012. And I remember, like, to the point where, like, Mike Babcock was asked about it after the series by some Detroit writer. And he's like, yeah, I mean, I don't consider Gabriel Bork a top 6 forward yet, but
may as well call him Ray.
Maybe I'll get there one day. But, one of my takes was like, the next year that Bork was going to score 25 goals. He scored 9. And I think in his entire career, he scored 40. So,
wow.
We all have our takes.
He did get to 25.
He did.
At some point.
Yeah. We all have our takes.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, some more than others. I can't remember too many of mine that were bad. But, yeah. Yes, I know. It's easy. It's easy. Hendon Hooker.
Is Mason Rudolph still the backup? And
I mean, the Mason. To be fair, like, I have actual bad takes, that are like not taken out of context that you could go to.
I'll just going by what the audio clip says. I don't know what you're talking about.
Right. Yes.
He's still the backup in Pittsburgh. They got 75 quarterbacks there. So, like, is he really the backup? I mean, surely he's not going to be the backup, right? I mean, they have, I would assume, Aaron Rodgers coming back. They have Drew Aller. They have Will Howard. So I don't think Mason Rudolph is going to end up sticking.
I mean, that is a lot of quarterbacks. Yeah. Now that you bring that up,
Drew Aller might get cut after one practice, but we'll see.
What round did they take him? But I have to double check on that.
Fourth? He go in the fourth, I think,
or third. Correct. He went in the third round.
Third round,
so he's not getting cut.
You're going to cut him, huh?
Real quick, I just have to bring up Terry in Nashville. A lot of great comments, by the way. Thanks everybody on the rant. But he said, I've heard of none of them, so that concert sucked. I'm like, you never heard of the Eagles or Joe Walsh or Don Henley or Vince Gill or Vanderbilt or Nashville? Like, he said, maybe Vince Gill. Maybe. I don't know. That name kind of rings a bell.
I mean, I've even got some sympathy for, like, the Joe Walsh, Don Henley, but just, like, if you're just like, the Eagles. Like, okay. Like, the Eagles? You never heard of the band, the Eagles? Okay.
Have you heard of eagles?
The animal?
We saw a little. One of them got shot. Apparently,
Yeah, it's a news story.
but it's okay.
Doing okay though.
Yeah.
615-737-1025. Our phone number 615-737-1025. Matthew from Jolton says, my worst take of all time is Blake Bortles will be a Hall of Famer.
Now, Matthew from Jolton's a Michigan fan, so you can Matthew. I bet you've given out about 20 September Heismans to Michigan players. Come on, Devin Gardner, he's winning a Heisman. Taylor Lewan, oh, that guy's amazing.
Face of the franchise. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. More. We'll get back into the Titans coming up next. Robby and Rexrode 1025 The Game. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025. The 615 Open Golf Tournament might be sold out, but you can bid on all kinds of awesome experiences to directly support Folds of Honor at 615open.com/auction. Have an unforgettable time while supporting a great cause as well. 615open.com/auction. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Another jam from Joe Walsh in the city. Thank you. That's the one I really wanted to see the most. That's the one that makes me saddest.
Go to the Sphere.
I might have to. Joe, hang with us. Joe, hang with us, brother. You don't need teeth.
Take your vitamins, buddy. Let's head back to our phone line. Welcome in Bruce to the program. Bruce, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Good morning, guys. Joe, I wanted to give you a slightly different take on Drew Allar, if you don't mind.
Okay.
And one of the reasons I think differently, and I'm going to give you proof, is that James Franklin is a legendary pro-style quarterback destroyer. If you look back at freshman year, Christian Hackenberg had a phenomenal year. Everyone was predicting to be the number one pick in the draft someday. 3 years later, Franklin had ruined him. Then Franklin gets Trace McSorley, more his style of quarterback. Does a good job with him. Because he can't ruin that kind of quarterback.
Okay.
Allar's first year, 28 touchdowns, 5 picks, I believe was the numbers. 2 more years under Franklin, he ruined him. So I believe that 28-5 Allar is still in there, and I believe he does have potential to be a starting NFL quarterback.
Thank you, Bruce. Appreciate it. By the way, it was 25-2. It was even better. 25 touchdowns, 2 picks. Only turned the ball over twice.
That's pretty good. No, it's an interesting thought. My question would be, and I'm not trying to be like a big James Franklin defender, but my question would be how? Like, how does he ruin, quote unquote, ruin these quarterbacks? What does that mean? Like, what do you – and why would you be a ruiner of a particular style of quarterback? Yes, I think James Franklin preferred the Trace McSorley types. He liked to run that type of stuff, use that mobility. But it's just an interest. Like, just tell me, like, what is done on a daily basis in that building, or what was done, what will be done at Virginia Tech to quote unquote ruin the pro style quarterback?
The only thing holding Jordan Rodgers back was James Franklin.
Yeah, because I just don't think, like, I don't think. I mean, Christian Hackenberg was a huge recruit, and I don't know. I mean, he came right out playing well. It's an interesting question. I'm not sitting here saying you're definitely wrong, but it's always interesting. Like, okay, so what does that mean? Like, you're taking reps. You're maybe the scheme doesn't fit them as well, but ruin them. To me, if you're that good, if you're good enough, unless we're talking just clown college coaching, which is not the case. I mean, let's be real, right? How are you going to put all that on a coach?
It is amazing, though, like when you look back at this past year's Penn State team, and we had this conversation about Singleton, but like even their defense, just everything. Like, they'd be as talented on paper as they were to just be totally off the wall.
Well, I agree. Now, I'll also say that this is also a great example of how one game can do so much to a team that clearly is just too fragile. But if they survive the Oregon game, which was an incredible game, double, triple overtime, whatever it was, if they come out and win that game, I'd like to see, because you lose it and it's whatever. Everybody's back to like, what's Franklin's buyout? And then you go and you just completely crap the bed at UCLA, which, by the way, UCLA, which had a case as the worst team in the first month of the season, actually like played way better and had a lot of good games after that, right? But still, in the moment when they lost to UCLA,
Nico looked like Vince Young. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, seriously. Like, it was actually an incredible turnaround. But when they did it on that day, you're like, Penn State just lost to, like, one of the worst college football teams we've seen.
Yeah.
So it's over. I'd like to see the alternative reality of losing Oregon. But beating Oregon. But regardless, like, that's always an interesting thing of this coach, like, ruins this kind of player, especially talk about quarterbacks. And I'm always wondering what that would entail.
So are we
doesn't maximize them. I can be there with you.
Are we surprised at the over-under from FanDuel Sportsbook on Cam Ward that it is 32.50.5? Seems low.
That seems low. I'd feel comfortable with the over. Again, the health provided, because that's part of the thing too. Yeah. So you always have to factor that into your into your calculation, there's a decent chance that you're going to miss a couple games.
I mean, I would say if he's healthy and he doesn't throw for more than 3,250 yards based on last year last year, as bad as it was for as long as it was for not only him, but the entire offense, and he still ended up with 3,169. Like, if you don't get, somewhat significantly over 3,250, I think Titans fans are going to be looking around and saying, what is this? Like, how did that happen?
Now, unless it's because they're road grading people with their offensive line and their running game and their defense is great, and you can win games throwing for 195 yards like the old days. I mean, right? Like, it's just how do you get to that? But yeah, you would think that he'd be in the mid threes. I would think so too. I mean, I'm looking to see. I mean, Bryce Young's over under is less than that. It's 3,025. Is there anybody that's not even in the threes? Let's see. There's not. So Cam does have one of the lowest. And interestingly, I mean, Cam Ward's over under is the exact same as Jalen Hurts. So there you go. Okay. That is interesting. And that's one where, they do win games.
I found
him throwing for like 110 yards.
Who's the Jets quarterback?
That would be Geno, and he's not even listed on here.
Oh.
So there's that. Fernando Mendoza at 23.50.5, but I also think that factors in they don't think he's going to play for like half the year. So there's that. Is Kirk on here? Kirk's not on here. The highest one I could find over under is Dak, who is over under is at 4,050.5.
Okay. And Dak, without looking
Jared Goff
at it,
is also tied with that 4,050.5.
Yeah. And both of them have multiple, like they've done 4, I think probably quite a bit, right?
Yes.
I would think so. But that's kind of low. I mean, it is wild to think that, like Tannehill in that incredible year playing every game, 33 touchdowns, 7 picks, 7-9 an attempt. I mean, that's, if there's a number that I would look at, I mean, that might be the most important number. Look at the top of the list of these Titans quarterbacks and their season yardage. It's Warren Moon 7.2 per attempt, 8 per attempt. Tannehill 7.9 per attempt, 7 per attempt. Moon 7.8 an attempt. That's your top 5 yardage seasons. Also great. Cam Ward last year 5.9 an attempt. That's a very bad number.
Yeah,
very, very bad number. I mean, Tannehill in the 2019 season famously, was a 70% and a 9.6 per attempt, which had not been done since my favorite quarterback, Joe Montana.
We got to filter this stuff out on Pro Football Reference. I clicked on the yards per attempt to see which number would come up the first. Well, it's Kevin Byard in 2018 who threw for 66 yards an attempt because he had the fake punt.
Yes.
I didn't even see the name at first. I was like, who had 66 yards an attempt? Oh, Kevin Byard. There you go. Good to know.
How about that? That was the Dave Rabel special was coined.
Yeah.
It has been redefined.
Yes. Yes, it has. Yeah, I mean, 5.9 an attempt that's not good. It's, by the way, it ranks 145th in Titans history, if you were wanting to know. But 5.9 an attempt.
That was a great lefty. Yeah, no, that was not good. That was a great lefty bullet there from, was that to Crookshank from Byard?
I believe so.
I mean,
if you're curious,
safety to safety.
Top 5 yards per attempt seasons in Titans history. Byard at number 1, 66. Frank Wycheck at 2, 61. Nice. Antonio Andrews at number 3, 41 yards.
Wow.
Earl Campbell at 4, and Wycheck again at 5.
Destroys pro-style quarterbacks because he's unwilling and unable to adjust his offense to the type of talent he had. Again, I think that's fair. I think it's totally fair to criticize him on a lot of things, including that. But how does that destroy a quarterback? How does that ruin a quarterback? If that ruins you, quote unquote, then I don't know that you were up to this. I mean, Drew Aller got through the season. He's drafted. He's going to be in camp. Was he was ruined, or did he not, was he not maximized? There's a huge gap between those two ideas.
I would agree. I mean, look, I would argue if you left Brian Callahan around too much longer, you'd probably ruin Cam Ward. So, I do think your coach can ruin it.
Yeah, like
So-
if you don't give a quarterback a chance,
Right.
right? Like if you can never block for your quarterback, there's a way to ruin a quarterback.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's what it was with Aller. He wasn't. I will see, man. Look, they were in a playoff game and he wasn't playing especially well. They were in it. They were a winning team, and he threw a pick that's like I don't see how you put that on anyone but him.
Right.
Against Notre Dame, right?
Yes.
That's Franklin ruining him.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. Final segment of the show coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Boxing fans, 102.5 The Game and Team Boxing League have your chance to win tickets to see the Nashville Smash take on the Boston Butchers at Municipal Auditorium on Saturday, May 23rd. 16 rounds, 16 fighters going at it. Text the keyword FIGHT to the game text line at 615-737-1025 to enter for your chance to win. Again, that's FIGHT to 615-737-1025. I did not anticipate the 8 o'clock hour turning into ripping Drew Aller and or defending James Franklin.
Yeah, gee, I mean, I'm not. I hope it goes well for Drew Aller and for James Franklin. I mean, James Franklin deserves a whole bunch of criticism for for some of his big game failures and some of his goofy public stuff he's done, and there's plenty of. Just saying, like I think when you try to take something like a quarterback, most quarterbacks aren't going to work out. Most quarterbacks don't live up to the hype. Like a vast majority don't. So when one doesn't, and Drew Aller didn't this year, trying to put that on, to take all that responsibility and put it on the coach, I think is usually probably a little bit misguided. I understand Hackenberg too. I get it.
Over under win total for Virginia Tech in James Franklin's first year is 6.5.
Okay.
There you go.
That would be my little Hokie grad would be okay if they got to 7. He's pretty excited about this. He's pretty excited.
I know a lot of Virginia Tech fans that are excited.
It's been a while since he was excited. He used to, be on top of the world in the peak of the Beamer era when he was actually in school. But I think I like the fit, man, because Franklin has always recruited Virginia. I mean, that's one of the things he started to do at Penn State is take some of those top kids away from Virginia Tech and get them to Penn State. And so I know things have changed a lot, but there's still high school areas. You still need to dominate some good regions of talent, and I think he will do that there.
Tennessee picks up a win over the weekend in the series against Texas on the baseball front. They win 2 of 3. Vanderbilt loses 2 of 3 to Missouri over the weekend. So not good stuff from Vanderbilt there. And as you pointed out earlier in the show, I mean, they may have to go get the automatic bid here if they're going to keep this streak alive to get in the NCAA tournament. We'll see how that ends up playing out. But that's a good result for the Vols and another bad result for the Doors over the weekend.
Yeah, it's a bad scene for the Doors. And they got screwed. It's the whole thing is weird. I mean, look, I don't know. Like, there's really, I don't know. Maybe there is a precedent, but I don't remember the precedent in terms of like the fog. I mean, the tracker said it was a home run, but they ended up ruling it a ground rule double. Again, that doesn't win it for them, but it puts them ahead in the 9th. Instead, they end up losing that. They're in rough shape. I think the 19-year streak is probably going to end, barring some dramatics in Hoover. They have they've had a lot of good trips to Hoover. So, I mean, it's possible. But the pitching, right? The pitching is just not there for a variety of reasons. And it's too bad because they actually have the power in the hitting this year that they haven't had in recent years.
Have you ever seen a baseball game suspended for fog before?
I don't think so. No. I mean, football, I've seen it. I mean, I'll always remember the Bears-Eagles playoff game where the announcers had to go down to the sideline to call the game so they could see across the field. But no, I don't recall that.
I was just trying to see if I'd ever heard of that before.
You'd think it would, like,
guys, we got to stop playing. Nobody can see anything.
I mean, I guess it's like, especially this time of year, like, why wouldn't that be possible here and there?
Sure.
Right? When you get
I just don't know that I've ever seen
a
that.
warm front coming in and but no.
Can you imagine being like a
can't.
center fielder and being like, well, I don't know where that ball is. And it just hits you right in the face.
Yeah. Like a liner.
Yeah.
No, I mean, like that, like, how do you play that? Now, you see the aerial shots and it's like, how could you possibly play? But that's from far away. What was the visibility for like an outfielder standing there to home play? If it's not there, that's dangerous to play. Right?
The pitching angle, like the angle behind the mound, it's a pretty thick fog, man. Like you can't see the plate. It's like,
well, yeah. So so if you can't see the ball off the bat,
it's not good.
You can't play.
No, I mean it's a player safety thing at that point.
Yeah. But it just kind of continues the because the tracker said it was a home run. It just kind of continues this type of year that they're having, which is still going to end in the end include a sweep of Tennessee. That's pretty wild.
I'm talking myself into being excited for the Pistons and the Knicks coming up. You got Ian's Knicks, Joe's kind of sort of Pistons that look like they're going to meet in the Eastern Conference Final here. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I'm not. You're trying to jinx the Pistons. Let's not do that, because if they lose tonight at Cleveland, and they did lose the other day, they lose tonight at Cleveland, and it's 2-2, and it's anybody's series.
Cleveland's got James Harden. They'll screw it up at some point.
He was good.
Yeah, he's good.
He was good in Game 3.
I'm
counting on him to stink again tonight.
He was good or made one shot?
No, he played well.
Okay.
He kind of carved them up. Their whole offense late was like Harden with the ball and either switch him on to Tobias, who has been great but is not great defensively, or Duncan Robinson, and they carve either of them up and hit mid-rangers. So he played well. Hopefully that ends today, because I would like to see Pistons Knicks. And I think the Pistons will get to the finals. The problem is Oklahoma City will sweep them. I hope it's not that obvious. They're just the best team by far, which is too bad, because there have been some really good series in the playoffs. I've really enjoyed them, but it sucks when you have a foregone conclusion.
I mean, you have an NBA team that is one game away from sweeping their first 2 series, getting to the conference final in Oklahoma City. NHL team's already done it. Carolina won both their series 4-0, and they're already in the Eastern Conference, just kind of kicking their feet up and waiting.
But the cool thing about that is that's not a foregone conclusion.
That's true.
At all. But they're great. Canadians, Canes, that could be fun.
I said it after the show the other day. I think Canadians are going to the Cup final. We'll see what happens. That does it for us today here on the program. We'll be back 6 a.m. tomorrow. Next man up, coming up next. You're listening to 102.5 The Game.